So we're just coming out of our winter period where we are here, and it's interesting how the theme is always the same around winter. And apart from dealing with slower curing temperatures and so forth in resin flooring, I'm amazed how many people suffer with problems that are related to amine blushing, and yet they don't actually understand that that's what's going on, why it's happening, and how to overcome it. So the most recent case that sits on my mind is to do with a metallic coat that was done in cool conditions, cool and damp conditions, cool and high relative humidity conditions. And the problem there is that the base coat being used underneath the metallic coat was an IPD-based material, isophorone diamine. And I'm certain that the manufacturer of that product had listed in their product limitations to not use it outside of certain conditions, but in the field, that's what it is. You can't control the conditions, so I see so many people that they just have to move ahead and keep going. Anyway, so this product was applied. It was a black base coat, and then they go and put the metallic coat over the top, and they got this crazy tiger pattern going on. Pretty cool effect, actually, and if you have a look at the photos below on this post, you'll see the effect. It's clearly not reproducible. It's not attainable in all conditions, so it's a problem, and in this case it was a problem that cost them, and they had to redo the floor. But the lack of understanding was that they still didn't understand that this was due to IPD blushing, or the curing agent blushing. And that's a real problem, because you need to understand those capabilities and constraints when it comes to different resins, because otherwise you're going to end up in trouble. And you're going to have to redo floors or try to explain what's going on and so forth. So the photos below show you an obvious, it's clear what has happened after the fact. And what's physically taking place is that because of that amine blush waxy finish on the surface, when you put the metallic coatings over the top, meaning the clear resin with metallic powders mixed into it, the resins will pull away, they'll crawl on this amine blushed finish, and then the pigments settle and the resins flow back and close off the floor, and the actual floor looks sealed, but you've got this crazy tiger pattern work going on. So it's one example of amine blushing. I hear different variations of it where, again, people didn't really understand what was going on. One guy said he had a garage that had water spotting, meaning that when they did the floor and everything cured dry, and yet when they drove the car in there and it was raining, the water droplets caused water spotting marks on the floor. Another one had a mechanical workshop where he'd finished it and came back to look at it sometime later, and the mechanic couldn't clean his workshop. The dirt pickup was phenomenal, and the mechanic just thought that that's what he was dealing with. The actual installer knew that there was something going on, like why did the surface remain that tackiness, why did it hang on to the dirt, and yet didn't understand that that was another example of amine blushing. So for me, I think we need to be clear about it. We need to understand the conditions when it happens. We need to understand how we can overcome it, and in order to not have these problems. They are preventable problems. That's the topic for today. What's been your experience? What is it that you felt with regard to amine blushing? Perhaps you didn't understand. Maybe you want to elaborate on a scenario that you had. It's a great topic for us to be discussing. It's very useful for us to understand. It'll save a lot of people a lot of headaches. So I want to see your comments, and let's see what comes out of it. As always, I'm ResinJack. Take care and keep smiling.